Michael wanted to do a little introduction, but I don't see him anywhere, so I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Nicole Goddard. I'm a primary care sports medicine physician with Beacon Orthopaedics. We have an office just upstairs. So I deal with all of the non-operative orthopedics. I am a family medicine physician from residency, and then I did a sports medicine fellowship. So I do all of the non-operative movement and everything kind of before and after surgery, okay? So I'll join you here in the seat. Now, if you know that sitting cross-legged hurts your knees, feel free to sit out straight or with the knees bent, just whatever serves your body. And we're going to start with some simple breath. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. All right. No, you can't? Okay, I'll talk louder. If I blow you all away, just tell me, and then I'll start to move around, okay? So I invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe doing so. You can, again, cross your legs or bring them out in front of you, whatever you find comfortable for your body. And we're just going to start with some deep meditative breaths. So we find that exhaling longer than we inhale actually calms the body. So I'm going to coach you through just a starting form of that. So inhale for 1, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Now let you continue that breath pattern on your own. We find that yoking our breath with our mind and our body movements can decrease anxiety, help with depression, can also lower blood pressure, balance out our sugar levels. So I always say, if you find yourself in a moment where you feel stressed or anxious, return to your breath and try to make that exhale just a little bit longer than that inhale. It's a little bit about myself as we're breathing. I came to yoga after a few knee surgeries. So you'll notice I modify some things. Feel free to modify however you would like. If you need help with a modification, please raise your hand. Also, this is going to be a very easygoing class. Might be a little different than what you're used to. Feel free to just ask a question in the middle. If I don't hear you, just repeat it. Sometimes if you have a question, someone else is thinking the same thing and wishing that you had asked. I would like for you to just serve your body during this hour. I don't really like rules, so I only have 2 guidelines. One of them is to enjoy, not take yourself so seriously, and have fun. The other in that spirit is honor your body so that we don't get injured. And make sure throughout the practice that the corners of your mouth come as close to your ears as possible. So try to smile. We're just going to have fun and move a little bit this morning. If you're new to yoga and you just want to observe, that's fine. If at any point you need to go into child's pose, that's fine. If you don't know what child's pose is, I'll teach you. So now we'll start to flutter the eyes open. We're going to take a big, deep inhale, arms overhead. If raising your arms over your head does not serve your body or hurts in your shoulders, you can bring your hands to heart center. From overhead, we'll take the hands down. Deep inhale overhead. As we inhale, we want to lengthen the spine. So always remember in every pose, length in the spine comes first. Exhale down. And we don't want to compromise the length in our spine for the pose. Inhale all the way up. Now as we release our hands down, we're going to crawl the right arm out to the side and take our left ear to our left shoulder. So we're going to side bend our neck. And a deep inhale back up to center. And then exhale down. Crawl that left arm out to the side. Take the right ear to the right shoulder. So I'll try to add in a few tidbits as we're doing this. As we have the blessing of birthdays, as I'd like to call it. Sometimes we lose that range of motion in our neck in the side bending first. Inhale back to center. But practicing range of motion and maintaining what we have, and bring the hands towards the heart. Helps us when we're driving, like if we're merging or looking behind us to back up. Now we're going to exhale the arms out to the side. And if at any point you'd like to cross your legs or extend them out in front of you, please do so. So we're going to make a fist. We start to circle our hands. So if we use a phone or a tablet or computer throughout the day, or we're writing, go ahead and reverse those circles. We can start to get a lot of tension in our fingers and our wrists. So even if we take a moment, like once every 30, 45 minutes, and just make some wrist circles, we can relieve some of that tension. Now we're going to inhale our arms up to goal pose. So bend at the elbows. We're going to work on some shoulder range of motion, and maintaining the range of motion in our shoulders helps us to reach overhead. It helps us to put on our clothes and fix our hair. Take a big deep breath and then exhale the arms down. So we're going to work in our flexion and extension here. And then inhale the arms back up in our external and internal rotation. And inhale the arms down. Then exhale back up. And inhale down. Now whenever we're working with our arms, especially overhead, we want to remember to bring the tips of the shoulder blades together, okay? And that'll lengthen out the spine. Now we're going to cross the arms in front of the body. So just to show you a few modifications, and you can grab onto elbows. If raising your arms overhead causes pain or pinching in your shoulders, you can always cross the arms in front of the body for a modification, okay? I'm going to deep inhale and exhale and slowly just side bend to the right. So this promotes range of motion in our thoracic spine. It also helps our diaphragm, helps with breathing. Inhale back to center. We're going to cross our elbows. So if you had right over left, go left over right. Deep inhale and exhale to the left. Good. Now we're going to come back up through center. So if we need to do some shoulder rolls now, because we've had those hands up for a little bit, forward and backwards. Now we're going to extend our hands out in front of us. So for those of us that have carpal tunnel, or if we've ever had tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, I'm going to show you a few stretches for that. So take your right hand, flex your fingers up towards the ceiling, and use your left hand to just provide a gentle stretch. And you'll notice you should get a stretch here on the front of your wrist. That can help with carpal tunnel. If at any point, again, you have pain or numbness or tingling, ease out of the pose. But you should also feel a stretch up your elbow to the outside here. And that's where we tend to get tennis elbow, or it's also called lateral epicondylitis. So if that starts to happen, this is an excellent stretch. And then flex the fingers down towards the floor. And we're going to apply a little stretch here. Now you might notice it changed, and I feel the stretch on the inside of my elbow. So this is where we get golfer's elbow or medial epicondylitis. Again, these are also good to do if you work at a computer or writing throughout the day, just to take a little break. Take a big deep breath, and we're going to shift over to that left side. Flex those fingers up towards the ceiling. Use that right hand to provide just a gentle stretch here. Is everybody doing okay so far? Yeah? And then flex those fingers down towards the floor. Another little gentle stretch. Okay. And then go ahead and relax. We're going to start getting into some overhead twists and side bends. So if you have any brittle bone disease, such as osteopenia or osteoporosis, you want to maintain movement in the spine, but we never want to go too far. So that motion is what can cause compression fractures. So you don't have to go into so deep of a pose, but we still want to maintain motion, okay? So inhale the arms overhead, and we're just going to catch our left wrist and our right hand and slowly side bend to the right. And again, if that doesn't serve your body, you can have your arms out or you can bring them back to center. And then inhale back through center. Change the cross of the hands. Grab that right wrist with your left hand and side bend to the left. Then we're going to come back through center. Deep inhale. This time we're going to take the right hand to the back of the body, the left hand to the right knee, and we're going to gaze over our right shoulder. Inhale for length and bring those tips of the shoulder blades together in your back. Inhale back overhead. Arms up high. We're going to change that cross, okay? So bring your left or right hand to your left knee, left arm behind you, and gaze over that left shoulder. This can also be done in a chair. So if you're sitting for working from home, or even if you're just on the couch, it's really good just to add in this range of motion throughout the day. Then we're going to come back through center, hands up. Now, if you'd like to change the cross of your legs, if you haven't already, you may, or you can reach out in front of you if you're getting some tension in your knees, okay? We're going to start to come down and fold forward, crawling out in front of the body. Move this out of the way so that you can see. We're going to crawl out in front of the body to start to stretch our low back, our thoracic spine. But if at any point you get any pain or pinching, tension in your hips, you can start to ease back out of that, okay? Take a deep inhale and then crawl your hands over to the right side of your mat. For a deeper stretch, you can cross the left hand over the right. So we're going to side bend through this outside body. Deep inhale and exhale. Now we're going to slowly walk our hands back through center over to the left side of the mat. And cross that right arm or that right hand over the left if you'd like a little bit deeper stretch. Now I invite you to come back through center. This is where we're going to start crawling over onto our knees. So if you know that being on your knees does not serve you, even with a mat, stay where you are, and I'll start to cue 2 different options, okay? But if you would like, I invite you to crawl, kind of roll over, crawl onto your knees, and we're going to get into a tabletop position. Okay. So try to align your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And this is a good time we can start to tap our toes, the tops of our feet against the mat, since we've had them up underneath us for a little bit. And now I'll show you one of the most relaxing poses. If you bring the tips of your toes together, your big toes, and take your your knees to the wide side of the mat and ease your hips back towards your heels as you stretch the body forward. This is child's pose. This pose is always available to you throughout the day or throughout the program. If at any point you notice a pain or pinching in your hips, go ahead and come out of that child's pose. You can also put a block or a blanket above your heels to pad so that it's a little bit more comfortable. If you have low back pain, this is an excellent stretch. Go ahead and raise back up into that tabletop. Bring the knees back under the feet. I just want to make sure that we're all, okay. So now we're going to start to circle the hips. So we're going to take our right hip back towards our right heel, circle around, and come back up to the top. So this provides mobility in our hips. And having open hips actually promotes blood flow to the lower extremities. It can help with knee pain and arthritis. It can help with hip pain and arthritis. It can actually help with pain in the low back. So now we're going to reverse that circle. left hip to left heel, all the way back. And if you find that you would like some extra padding or a mat, just raise a hand and I'll bring one to you, okay? And if at any point, if it's too much, you can go onto your seat and then I'll cue a different way to do this. So I'm just going to turn so that you can see me. And what we're going to do now is we're going to drop the low back, raise the head up, and take a big deep breath. This is cat-cow. And this is also a great stretch for the low back. So just the people in the back are having trouble. So what we're going to do, we're going to drop the arch the back, raise the head up, big deep breath in, and then arch the back as we exhale out towards the ceiling. And then inhale, big deep breath in, exhale all the way out. This is also an excellent stretch for low back or mid back pain. So if you find that you're prone to that throughout the day, if you do a nice little child's pose, and then even just this series.
Question, are we supposed to be breathing a real long breath while we're doing all this?
No, this one you just move with the breath. Inhale as you come up, exhale as you go down.
It's still hard to hear.
Is okay, sorry. So deep inhale as you raise the head into cow. Deep exhale as you arch the back into cat. Now we'll come back to a neutral tabletop. Again, this is a shoulder stretch, so if you know that you have shoulder pain or rotator cuff issues, you can observe and see if this is something you'd like to do first, okay? I invite you to raise the right arm up towards the ceiling. And then with an exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left shoulder. And if you're able, you can bring the shoulder all the way to the mat, or you can stay up, whatever serves your body. And then go ahead, release that pose all the way up, and then back down. Now we're going to perform this on the left side, and you might find that there are things that you like to do on one side, not on the other, and that's okay. We can always modify side to side. So raise that left arm up towards the ceiling, exhale underneath that right shoulder. And we can come back up to the ceiling, back to tabletop. Okay. Again, if at any point you would like a child's pose, feel free to go back into child's pose. I'm just going to turn again so that you can see me a little bit better. This time we're going to extend our right leg back and we're going to point and flex into our heel. So this is a great stretch if you're prone to plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis, or if you have tight hamstrings. Point and flex into that foot. Now I invite you to raise the leg, and you're going to cross it over your left, rest it on the ground, ease your hips to the right a little, and side bend and look back towards that right foot. You might notice that the stretch has changed. Now you feel it towards the outside of the foot, or to the inside of the foot is our tendon that holds up our arch, our posterior tibial tendon. We're going to bring that foot back up to center. If it serves your body, you can take it out to the side and pulse a couple times. This is our glute muscle. This is one of our major hip stabilizers. Now we're just going to rest that down out to the side. So those muscles stabilize the hip. They help us stand from a sitting position. They help us stabilize us as we go upstairs. And we're going to ease and push out into the outside of our foot. And this stretches what we call the peroneal tendon. So now we're stretching the back, the inside, and the outside of the foot. This helps us if we're hiking or we're on uneven terrain. Now we're going to start to ease back if you would like, and if it doesn't put too much pressure on your knee. And this will help get an extra little bit of stretch on the inside of the thigh. These muscles are the adductor muscles, and they help bring your knee and your leg in towards your body. We'll ease back up. Okay. Let's bring this leg back in, and we'll take a break with a little child's pose. So bring those toes together, knees to the outside the mat. Hinge your hips backwards. Just for a couple breaths. We're going to come back onto those knees, back into tabletop. And I invite you to bring that right leg back again. This time we're going to lift the right leg, and if you would like, I invite you to lift the left arm. Bring your thumb up towards the ceiling, point your toes down towards the floor, and feel one line of energy in between. If you would like, you can bring your elbow to your knee for a nice crunch, and then out. One more time, in, and then out. On this one, as we bring our knee up towards our nose, we're going to rest our left hand and bring our right foot in between our hands. Okay. So you can ease your left knee back a little for a nice little lunge, and lunge into that right knee. This provides a good stretch for the inside of both legs. Now we're going to ease up and crawl your hands up your leg onto your knee. Nice big deep breath. Yes, and if you would like here, you can lift up out of this if it serves your body, as opposed to being on your knee, okay? We're going to take a big deep breath in. You can always do this from standing as well. And if you're able, you can put your hands together, release your pointer, or you can have them here at goalpost. We're just going to do a nice little back bend. Keep your ears in line with your biceps. Don't arch your neck. And then back to center. Deep inhale. We're going to side bend to the right. Deep inhale. Now if you'd like to bring your arms out to the side, or you can have them crossed, we're going to deep inhale and exhale, twist to the right. So this not only provides range of motion, but it's also a little balance. Inhale back up to center. Okay. Now if you do have the blocks, this is where you can put them beside you on either side. And we're going to start to ease back, taking our bottom towards our left heel for a nice little hamstring stretch, okay? So you can wave your toes front and back towards the ceiling and bring your toes back towards your shin. But use the support of your blocks. Try not to round your back, okay? So stretching out our hamstring can help with low back and knee pain. We're going to come back up and slide that right knee back. And let's do a nice little child's pose before we do the other side. You can ease those hips back. Now let's come back up to that tabletop. So we're going to do that same series on the left side. Again, if you would like, you can come to seated and I can show you how to do that. But if it's still serving you, I invite you to extend that left foot back. Flex and extend into that heel. Good. Don't forget to breathe. And raise that left foot up, cross it over the right, Plant it on the ground and push in to that heel. Again, this gets the inside of that foot. So if you know you have flat feet or a fallen arch, it's helpful to do this stretch to stretch out that tendon. And then inhale it back up to center. And if you would like, you can try that pulse. Another way to do that is to bend the knee and to pulse out to the side. And you should feel those muscles on the outside of your hip. This is where we get bursitis, and it comes from irritation in those hip muscles. And now straighten that left leg, let it come to the outside, and push to the outside. And that's that peroneal tendon again. Again, the one that runs along the outside of the foot. And if you would like, you can start to ease your hips back towards your heel to get a little deeper stretch in through your groin and the inside of that thigh. And come back up through center. And bring that leg back in. Let's do another nice little child's pose just to give our knees a break. Sink those hips back towards the heels. 2 big deep breaths. And then ease back up into tabletop. You're going to extend that left leg back, and I invite you to bring up the right arm. Point those toes down towards the floor. Bring the thumb up towards the ceiling. Deep inhale, and with an exhale, we're going to bring our elbow to our knee. And back out. Elbow to knee. And back out. This time, we're going to bring our right hand down and our left foot through. In between our hands. You can ease your right foot back into a supported runner's lunge. Or if it serves you, you can raise that back leg, okay? Now we're going to crawl up. Okay. And then deep breath, hands overhead if you would like. And then release the pointer fingers. Keep the hands clasped and deep inhale, exhale, small back bend. So if you're in a seated position, you can bring your hands up, small back bend, back to neutral. Deep inhale, and we're just going to side bend left. Deep inhale, back up to center. Exhale brings the arms out to the side. Deep inhale, exhale, we're going to twist towards the left. So here we're incorporating a majority of the core by balancing and twisting. And then inhale back up to center. Okay. Now we're going to bring those hands back down to frame our foot. Bring that left leg back to meet the right. We're going to ease into standing. So if you know that pressure in your shoulders doesn't serve you, you can step on up to the front of the mat. But if you'd like to follow me through, we're going to go into a downward dog, okay? So what I'd like for you to do is hover the knees above the mat, push into your toes, and then push your hips up towards the ceiling as you extend your knees. And once you come to your first downward dog, pedal out your dog. Bring those heels one at a time down to the mat. Bend and flex into the knee. Bring the heels down to the mat one at a time. Excellent. Now we're going to lift our heels up. And we're going to shift both heels over to the right side of the mat. Inhale back through center. Shift those left heel or the heels over to the left side of the mat. Inhale back through center. Now you're going to put a deep bend into your knees. Look in between your hands and walk up to the front of your mat. Now if you have high blood pressure, vertigo, you're prone to dizziness, we're just going to crawl up nice and slow to standing, okay? Good. We won't be back down for a little bit. We're going to stand up for a while, okay? Take a big, deep inhale all the way up. Exhale down. Yes, and if at any time, please get water, okay? So I want you to really ground all 10 toes into the mat. Bring the tips of the shoulder blades together. So what that means is instead of rounding forward, we bring the bottom of our shoulder blade together and push out through our fingertips towards the ground. Bring your kneecaps up towards your thighs so that engages your quadricep muscles. This is a very powerful mountain pose. We find in our culture, such as standing in line at the grocery store, talking to a friend, we tend to collapse into one side of the body or the other or hold on to something. And it promotes holding patterns that then can cause pain in our body. So always remember, if you start to feel yourself collapsing, come back to your mountain pose. Okay. And inhale those arms overhead. I like to have my feet about shoulder width apart, but some of you who are have your own yoga practice might like to do your chair with your toes together. So whatever serves your body, we're going to start bending into our knees, sinking into our hips, opening those hips back and sinking into a chair pose. And why don't we go ahead and bring our hands to heart center. Try to maintain a flat back. Keep your knees from going in front of your toes. You should be able to lift up all your toes and lay them back down. So try not to lean forward, okay? Take a deep inhale, and on our exhale, we're going to take our left arm to our right knee for a twist. Inhale brings you back through center. Why don't we go ahead and stand, give those quads a little break. Inhale up. Exhale back into our chair. Bring the hands to heart center. Deep inhale, exhale takes that right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And gaze off to the left. Inhale back to center. From here, I invite you to take your left leg, just step it back. And we want to line up like we're on railroad tracks. So not straight in a line, but have some space. If you need more space for balance, you can bring your feet as far apart as you'd like, okay? Angle your back foot to where it's about 45 degrees. Keep a bend into your front foot. And then engage this outside muscle. Take your knee out towards your pinky toe so that you can look down and see your great toe. Align your pelvis forward. Bring your arms up overhead for your first warrior one. So what makes this such a powerful pose is we're engaging the hip stabilizers to keep us in this motion. And again, chair and engaging these hip stabilizers in our warriors helps us over time to continue to rise from a seated position without help. It helps us to climb stairs. Go ahead and bring your hands into heart center. And now we're going to release them behind the back. If this doesn't serve you, you can keep your hands on your knee, okay? Clasp the hands behind the back, and we're going to start to hinge forward at our hip, bringing our right shoulder towards our right knee for a humble warrior. If you would like, you can bring your hands overhead. Again, if that doesn't serve you, you can keep them close to your back. Deep inhale, and on our exhale, we come back up to standing. Okay. Now we're going to bend into that right foot as we step our back foot forward just a little bit to where there's only about 2 to 3 feet in between our front and back foot. We're going to go into a pyramid pose. So this is a good time to have your block handy. This is a big stretch for your hamstrings, okay? So if you'd like to put that block in front of your right foot, and you can bring your hands to your hips, and then start to hinge forward at your hips. Put a soft bend in those knees if you'd like, okay? Try not to ever lock out your knees. And as you reach forward, you can reach down for your block. Now, some of you may be able to reach down for your shin, but use the block. That's what they're there for. And you should feel this nice stretch in the back of the hamstring. Big inhale. On your exhale, bring those hands back to the hips and ease back up. Okay. Now we're just going to step back to the top of the mat. We're going to recenter with a big inhale. Exhale down into our chair. And we're going to do the other side. So we're going to step back now with that right foot. So now you know you're going into Warrior One. And make sure that we're on a railroad tracks. Back foot about 45 degrees out to the side. Bend into that front knee. Engage this outside muscle. Take that knee out. Strong muscles here prevent knee injuries here. Okay, and then bring those hands overhead. If it serves you, bring your hands behind your back. Clasp your hands and start to hinge forward at your waist. Bring that left shoulder to the left knee. And then ease back up on your exhale. Good, okay. Now we're going to step that back foot forward, bend into that front knee to get there. Good. And we're going to line both toes forward. We're going back into another pyramid pose. Go ahead and get set up, yeah. And then bring your hands to your hips. Slowly start to ease your body forward as you hinge at the hips. So whenever we're bending forward, we like to say bend at your knees, hinge at your hips, as opposed to rounding the spine. That'll prevent low back injuries. And you can reach for your block or your shin once you hit your end point for a stretch in the back of that leg. We're going to ease back up and come into standing. How's everybody doing? Okay? Okay. Now we're going to go into a Warrior Two sequence, okay? So this time we're going to inhale our arms overhead, bend at the knees, and we're going to step that left foot back. So I'm going to turn so that you can see me. On this one, when we step back, we want to pivot the back foot to where our arch is in line with our front heel. Bend into that front knee. Engage that outside hip muscle so that it's covering your pinky toe, but you can see your big toe. Take your hips to the side this time and extend your arms out long. Now we're going to gaze over that second finger on your front hand. Okay? Yeah. Bring the tips of the shoulder blades together. Release the shoulders from your ears. And remember to bring the corners of your mouth as close to your ears as possible. Deep inhale. On an exhale, release that left arm down. Crawl it down your back thigh. Raise your right arm up. Exalt your warrior. Gaze up to this right hand. This stretches the whole outside of that right body. An inhale brings you back through center. Exhale, bend your right elbow, hinge it down to that right knee, but we just want to rest our forearm gently and bring your left arm up over top of your front ear. If you would like some range of motion in your shoulder, you can circle the shoulder, okay? But if that doesn't serve you, you can stay in one position. Make sure if you circle, you go the opposite direction. Let's ease back up into our warrior two. We're going to do a little bit of flow with this warrior two. So flow is good for arthritic joints. So we're going to inhale, straighten the front leg, bring the arms overhead. Exhale back into warrior two. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale back into warrior two. On the next inhale, we're going to go into a different pose, so you might have to grab your block. Inhale the arms overhead. We're going to place the block onto the inside of our right foot. We're going to go into a triangle pose. So this stretches the inside of the legs, okay? So back into our warrior two, we're going to hinge the hips back, stretch forward as far as you can. Inhale for length at the spine, and windmill that right hand down. And just land on your block. You might not come all the way to the block, and that's okay. You might be able to go farther than the block. Reach that left hand up as high as it will go. And then all the way back up. I was in a class once where we tried to hold that for a minute, and that was very hard. Now we're going to turn our feet to where we're pointing towards the wide side of the mat, okay? So you all will be pointing towards that side. Yeah. Okay. And turn your toes to where they're pointed out towards the corners of the mat. And we're going to practice some squats here. So you want to keep your knees in line with your toes. So you're going to engage the muscles here. We're just going to bring the arms up overhead. And then we're going to bring them down into goalpost and squat. And then up overhead. And then squat. And then up overhead. And then squat. Good, okay. All right, now on this inhale, we're going to turn to face the back of our mat, okay? So our left toe is going to face the back of our mat. Our right foot stays where it is. We maintain that heel to arch alignment. Now we're doing warrior two on the opposite side, okay? Bend into that left knee so that you can see that left toe. Extend your arms out. And with an inhale, crawl your left hand down, your right hand down your right thigh. Bring that left arm up, gaze up overhead. Exalt your warrior. So take your right hand down your right thigh. And an inhale brings you back up to center. And now we're going to bend into our left arm as we take our left forearm to our left knee. Bring our right arm over top for a side angle. And you can circle your shoulder from this spot. Good. Make sure we go the opposite direction. Now we're going to inhale back up to standing. Now we're going to do that flow. We're going to inhale, straighten the front leg, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, bend into the front knee, arms out to the side. Inhale, arms overhead, straighten the front leg. Exhale, bend into the front knee, arms out to the side. Inhale all the way up. Now we're going to do a triangle pose on this side. So you may need to move your block to the inside of the left foot. We're going to take our hips back, reach forward, and windmill down. So we want to maintain length in the spine. Look up towards the ceiling. Deep inhale and exhale. And then all the way back up. Okay. And then we're going to Point those toes to face forward again, and then we're just going to heel toe in and come back to the front of our mat, okay? Yeah. All right, so we're going to reset for a second. We're going to work on some balance poses. So why don't we just shake our legs out? Okay. So balance poses, of course, help us prevent falls. They help when we're walking on slick surfaces. It promotes what we call proprioception or kinesthetic awareness. So where is my body in space? So that as I'm falling, I know what to do to catch myself, okay? So we're going to start with our hands on our hips, bend into that right knee, and let the toes just rest on the ground. Now, if you know you would like to use the wall, please find a wall. You don't have to stay on your mat. You can just make sure that you're away from others. If you need help and you're in the middle, I'll bring you a chair. Just raise your hand, okay? I invite you to turn your right knee out to the side and kickstand your heel against your left leg. And we're moving into tree pose. So those of you who have a yoga practice and you know your tree, you can grow it as much as you would like. If you're new, I'll talk you through the growth. So you can bring your right leg to the inside, or your right foot to the inside of your left leg. The only rule here is you do not put pressure on your knee, okay? So I think we'll stay right here. If you'd like to grow your tree, you can lift your arms up overhead. You can move your limbs in the breeze. And if you would like to pretend that it's nighttime for an extra challenge, you can close your eyes. Okay, and then bring that right leg forward. Keep it up for just a little bit. Really engage in that left leg. We're going to reach down, so bring the left hand to the left hip, right hand to the knee, and take it out to the side. And then back to center. And then let that right leg come down. Okay. And do it on the other side. Okay. So inhale those arms overhead. Back through center. Let's balance in our hips. Bring that left heel up. Kickstand it out to the side. And I'll tell you something, focusing on a point that's not moving in front of you helps. So don't look at me. Focus on anything here that's not moving out in front of you. And you can start to grow your tree, putting the left foot on the right leg. Grow your branches. You can let them sway in the wind. You can bring them to heart center. Let's go ahead and bring that right leg forward, left leg forward, balance into that right leg. Flex those toes. And if you would like, you can reach for this left knee with your left hand and take it out to the side. And we'll come back to the middle. Okay. All right, and let it down, okay? Now we're going to go back down to the mat, but we won't come back up, okay? All right. If you would like, we're going to do a Yogi Squat. If you know squatting does not serve your hips or your knees or your low back, feel comfortable to get down back onto the mat, however serves your body. But if you'd like to follow me through a Yogi Squat, take your feet out to the wide side of the mat, point your toes out, bring your hands into heart center, and slowly start to ease down. As you come closer to the ground, you're going to put your left hand in the front, your right arm behind, and ease back onto your bottom. Okay? If you'd like to sit with a block, feel free to sit with a block or a towel. If you need extra padding, just wave me down. I'll bring that to you, okay? We're going to keep our feet out to the side, bring our knees together, put our hands behind our body, and just windshield wiper those knees. This is another great stretch for that low back, for our hips, for our knees. It helps open up the pelvis if we've been sitting for a long period of time during the day. We tend to carry a lot of stress in between our hips and in between our shoulder blades. Okay. All right, so now we're just going to anchor our feet down onto the mat with our hands behind us, and if you'd like, we're going to do a little core work. So we're going to do a boat pose. I invite you to bring the right leg up. Try to keep your shin parallel with the ceiling, toes pointed up towards the ceiling. And if you would like, you can bring the left leg up. Now why don't we tap the right heel and bring it back up. Tap the left heel, bring it back up. Tap the right heel, bring it back up. Tap the left, bring it back up. Good job. Bring your knees in. Okay, and you can rock back and forth. We're going to make our way down to our back, okay? So on our back, ease down however you would like. So on your back, plant your feet firmly onto the floor and scoot them in towards your bottom as close as they'll go. Bring your hands down towards your heels, so right by the sides of your body, but keep your feet planted firmly on the floor. We're going to go into a bridge pose. So what you're going to do is engage your muscles that bring your belly down in towards your spine and the front of your legs, and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Okay. Be sure to breathe into this pose. Exhale all the way down. We're going to do this one more time. Big inhale. Exhale those hips up towards the ceiling. This is another great pose for your low back. If you would like, you can even slide your block underneath the back at the sacrum for a restorative pose. If you're up in the air, feel free to come back down. If you have the block under the sacrum, you'd like to keep it there, you can leave it there for a minute. Why don't we bring the knees together and windshield wiper those knees again. So keep the feet on the ground, windshield wiper the knees. Good. Okay. And now from this pose, we're going to anchor the feet back on the ground. We're going to slide our right ankle above our left knee. Only if this serves your body. If this does not serve your body, let me know and I'll give you a different way to do this. So point your toes up towards the ceiling. Bring your left leg up off the floor to where your shin is parallel with the ceiling. Reach through and grab the back of the left thigh. Pull in towards your chest. Make sure that your head is on the ground. Don't arch your neck. This is a great hip opener as well as a piriformis stretch, and this helps what we call your SI joint. Go ahead and release that back down to the mat. You can windshield wiper those knees. Then we're going to repeat that on the other side. Okay. So slide that left ankle above that right knee. Start to bring that right leg up, shin parallel with the ceiling. Flex those toes. Reach through, grab the back of the right thigh and pull in towards your body. And feel the stretch on the outside of that hip. We've been working that hip and those muscles this whole time. And release that back down. So now we're going to bring the knees in towards the chest for one last squeeze. If you have a yoga practice and you would like to do legs up the wall or waterfall, happy baby, please do that now. Otherwise, I invite you to bring your feet out to the opposite sides of the mat, your hands down to the opposite sides of the mat, and lay all the way back. So we're going into our final resting pose, or Savasana. Okay. Whatever serves your body here, laying flat on the mat. And if you'd like, squeeze into your fists nice and tight. Squeeze your toes nice and tight. Big inhale, and on the exhale, release all of it. Stretch a little bit farther out to the right side of the mat, a little bit farther out to the left side of the mat, and relax back into your mat. So while you're here in Savasana, I want you to thank yourself for coming out today, for taking time for yourself, for loving your body, for moving your body, and hopefully for having a little bit of fun. So I invite you to bring some movement back into your toes and your fingers. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Maybe bend your knees. Pick a side of the mat and roll to that side. Bend your knees up towards your chest. Take your bottom hand and make a pillow underneath your head for these last few moments. Just rest in your seed pose. Then use your top arm to slowly push you back up into a simple seat. Slow, slow, slow. You can keep your eyes closed or open. In a crossed position or your legs out in front of you. Deep inhale, arms overhead, hands to heart center. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out today. The light within me sees and honors the light within each and every one of you. We bow as we say namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, applaud yourself. You're the ones who did it. Thanks. I'm available for questions. If you have any questions, if you'd like to discuss a pose or modification, we have a bag for everyone. It has a handout in it of pretty much everything that we did today and then more. I tried to describe the different poses and why you would do them. And if you do have any specific questions or any injury and you'd like help with that injury, I'm here for you.
Question, this was videotaped. Can we get a copy or can we view it on